What is up, Broncos country? I'm your host, Dak. Thank you guys for joining me. I have a fun episode. We're going to be running through some uncut gems. There's no first round pick this season, being that we just traded for the prized wide receiver in Jalen Waddle. So, which means that the pressure is on to find uncut gems. We need all our picks to count this time of the year. So, we're going to talk about certain players. I got four today, not one, not two, not three, but four players that I will talk about as to maybe the Broncos could draft, who are sleepers in this draft, man. I'm excited to get into it. Before we get into things, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Again, I am Dak. So, we don't have a first round pick. We went through some of the players in the previous episode. This isn't anything new to the Broncos not having a first round pick. History says that we've been able to find some gems, on our day twos, day threes of the draft, and like players like Nick Bonito, Marvin Mims, or what have you, Riley Moss. Quinn Miners, right? So one player that comes to mind, just in case we don't get a player in the second round and we go on alternate position, because I feel like running back is very important um, going into this draft for the Denver Broncos. We do not want Bo Nix to be our RB2. We do not want him dealing with injuries at the end of the season, having surgeries or what have you. So we need to make sure we get an insurance policy for J.K. Dobbins. Yes, maybe he's going to play with the chip on his shoulder. Yes, maybe he could be available this season, but we also need to make sure that the depth behind him is legitimate. I know RJ Harvey's going to show some type of growth and development, in this room. So, first and foremost, one name that I got to bring up that I'm very intrigued about of potentially being our RB3 for this season is your champion, K. Long Black with Indiana, 2026 draft prospect. He had 1,040 yards rushing, 5.6 yards per carry, 10 total touchdowns on 186 carries. He's one of my uncut gems. Man, this guy shared he shared carries with Roman Hembry at Indiana. They had that nice one to punch under head coach Signetti. Tied for 30th with 16 carries of 15 yards or more, showing that he has some type of home run ability to take it to the house. But I feel like he wasn't used as a receiver much at Indiana. He only had 9 receptions, 48 yards, it shows. In his last two seasons, I think he was a standout on day one at the Senior Bowl. Also, I do want to say that it was noted that the Indiana running back he stood out in terms of some receiving ability in drills, showing that he was smooth and twitchy at the top of his route. I do like his vision and his burst. One thing I do know that Sean Payton likes in his running backs is if they're able to stay on the field in pass pro. And guess what? Kalon Black does just that. He has good contact balance. This is a guy that I have eyes for the Denver Broncos on day three. Maybe you get him in the fourth or fifth round. I'm intrigued. He plays bigger than his size, I feel. 5'10", 211, strong legs, like I said, good burst. He's I think he could definitely help you run between the tackles, get those tough yardages, get the tough yards, maybe get 4 to 5 yards, that I think we could really benefit, especially if he's spelling running backs, J.K. Dobbins, and R.J. Harvey, right? Definitely like him in this draft class. I know he went to James Madison, struggled a little bit there, but he really found his niche here. He proved that he was solid with Indiana. He's a champion. He brings that championship pedigree to Denver Broncos. You like that. You love to see it. Next, but not least, we got and real quick, I know he's been his NFL comparison. I see a lot of people comparing him to Kyle Monangai, which was the running back drafted last year by the Bears. So keep it just a name, notable name in the NFL to keep in mind of what Kalen Black profiles as in the NFL. Then next name that I like, this is one of my favorite tight ends on day 3. He's going to be in Uncut Gem in the worst way. Daquan Wright, tight end out of Ole Miss, 635 reception yards, 16.3 yards per reception, 5 touchdowns on 39 receptions. I love to see it. This guy is a gamer. He plays with the competitive edge. You love to see it. Okay, so one fun fact that I would throw out there is he's a wide receiver who transitioned to a tight end. He played with Virginia Tech. He transferred over to Ole Miss. Um, but one thing, and I think it was on one of the bigger podcasts, he was a guest. I forget the gentleman's name, but Daquan Wright talked about wanting to be in the SEC, which speaks volumes of that competitive edge he has. He's he also talked about wanting to fight for every yard. So this guy is a dog, has dog mentality. But one thing about him that I like, and I think that we need in our offense, is versatility, right? Somebody who can be dynamic. This guy has some good size to him. Let me pull up his size real quick. He's 6'4". He's listed here on this website that I have on NFL Draft Buzz at 246. Inline multi tight end role. The F as a move tight end. Y. I know he was in that Lane Kiffin spread type of offense, right? I know that the ceiling here for him is legitimate. To be a starting tight end, he gives you matchup advantages as a receiver while holding his own enough in the run game, which I think, and he's able to stay on the field for 3 downs. That's something that the Broncos could definitely benefit, right? You can see the mismatch that he poses there in the seams. He's great on crossers, and he has that yards after the catch ability, something that we desperately need in this tight end room. I know his blocking technique needs refinement, but man, there's been some clips that I have seen of this man. He's a physical specimen when he gets it right, and he's blocking defensive ends. So you love to see it. I like this guy. One thing that I did see when it comes to Daquan Wright is he was compared to Cade Otton, who a lot of Broncos country was intrigued by potentially adding in free agency. He resigned with Tampa, right? But that's a guy that I was like, oh, okay. Jake Ferguson's another guy out of Dallas, the tight end out of Dallas. 2 notable names to keep an eye on that I found intriguing who Daquan Wright was compared to. I love it. You love to see it. I mean, you see a lot of tight ends, I think, and it's one of the hardest positions to evaluate, right? Because they're not really featured sometimes in their offense, or their roles are very different as to what they play for their respective teams. So it's very hard to gauge um, in terms of scouting these players. So props to the scouts for doing the job they do. But I love Daquan Wright. I would be intrigued if we drafted him. I know he's already met with the Broncos in one of his meetings. Can't remember if it was a formal meeting or virtual, whatever the case may be. But I know the Broncos did meet with him, if I'm not mistaken. The next player that I have on my list, very intriguing, very, very intriguing. Jude Bowery out of Boston College. Yes, he played 9 games, not at 9 out of 17. But, the college season's, of course, a little lower. Has, of course, less games than the NFL. Let's be real here. But 509 offensive snaps. Of those 509 offensive snaps, he had 189 run block snaps. Pass blocking snaps, 320. You know what was very intriguing to me is this man did not give up any sacks last year. Only 2 quarterback hits allowed, 2 hurries. He's an uncut gem. I like Jude Bowery. Speaking of him, this guy is an athlete, a big athlete. Um, Shorter arm length than you would like to see. 33 and a quarter. He profiles maybe. He does have that versatility. He could probably kick inside in the NFL to be a guard, which he can benefit. With in terms of his technique and run blocking and pass blocking. Excuse me. But he has a 9.4 RAS score, 6'4", 314. Solid human, man. You love to see it. Jude Bowery is a guy that I think could really benefit with the Denver Broncos, sitting a year and truly developing behind somebody like McGlinchey, Ben Powers, like I talked about his versatility, or even Garrett Bowles for the future. Bowles isn't getting any younger, even though he's been really good for the Denver Broncos in protecting Bo Nix's blind side. Uh, he's only allowed 2 career sacks. Like I said, he's very versatile, natural kick slide, strong and active hands. I think he does struggle at times with his hand placement, but this guy is somebody that I would truly be happy with to develop behind, to add to this Broncos offensive line and develop him if we didn't go, you know, with the offensive lineman at pick 62. I think he's projected to go third or fourth round. Man, I know he does lack ideal size for a tackle. And that's why I talked about him like kicking inside potentially in the NFL, and maybe he is a Ben Powers replacement. But man, I'd really like him. I know he's dealt with some injuries in 2025, nagging ones. But I would like this guy. I feel like with Jude Bowery, he does need to, situation matters in the NFL. If he went to a situation like Denver, I think you could really and truly get the best out of him. Shit, let's get Zach Strife to, get the most out of this guy and make his money. Zach Strife needs to earn that paycheck. He can do that with his development. He's done a great job in developing other names like uh, Palczewski, Frank Crum. We could go down the line. I really like the job that Zach Strife has done within the Broncos organization in terms of developing these offensive linemen. So that's a guy that I'm intrigued by. Keep a note of him as well. I know we've already talked to him. So once I heard that the Broncos brought him in, I did some looking into him, and I'm like, okay, I could get behind him as a selection for Denver. He's one of my other uncut gems. So sign me up. Hopefully, you guys like him. Another name of note in this draft class. This one is one of my favorites. I feel like he's not being talked about enough. Okay. I am an Oregon Duck fan, so I might be very biased in this evaluation on this particular player. But this guy's a stud, man. You, he is a walk-on turned into a dog, and you're like, why do you say he's a walk-on? Well, he converted from a quarterback after an open tryout with Dan Lanning in Oregon. Um, Man, you love to see it. The way he's truly developed, back-to-back 90-plus tackling seasons. He's a day 3 sleeper, a walk-on. But like I said, he's a walk-on. Like I said, but he's a turned Burlsworth Trophy winner. Man, this guy is amazing. 3.4 average tackle depth, which means he's meeting running backs early and not getting them super loose, which is pretty solid for him. He's not like a freak athlete, right? Um, by any means, he's not a freak athlete. But what I would say is he's very instinctive. One thing that's fun about him is he plays baseball. Fun fact: drafted by the Houston Astros, um, center fielder for Oregon. He played baseball for them as well. But man, that translates when it comes to playing the middle linebacker position, because I mean it's like he's built in ball hawk. It helps with tracking, ball tracking, angles, instincts. It all translates. Very good in space. It helps with that, man. And I seen him. He was invited to the Senior Bowl. This man was blowing up running backs in pass pro and annihilating them. He wasn't doing that just there at the Senior Bowl. He was doing that throughout the season. And here's his stats too. Every year he's gotten better. He played 9 games for the Ducks. 136 tackles, 56 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, and 2 forced fumbles. Man, I really like Bryce Betcher quite a bit for the Denver Broncos. And you know what? I even like him even more so because he said that Bo Nix was the best in the NFL. There was a clip that was surfacing around when they were asking these guys who the best player was. Bryce Betcher, of course, vouching for his guy and Bo Nix, their former teammates there. You love to see it. And excuse me, I said 9 games played. That's a error on my part. On the graphics, so I apologize. 15 games played. I knew that was weird when I was looking at it. I was like, 9 games? I don't remember. In 15 games played, solid production, man. This guy was everywhere. He can improve. He wasn't too bad in coverage either. Something. I mean, like I said, he uses his instincts. Being a center fielder, playing baseball really helped. I really like him a lot. Tied for 42nd in run stops with 35. 3 forced incompletions, which is pretty good. PFF has him with the passer rating allowed of 74.7. So I really like Bryce Betcher. I feel like he's not talked about enough. He's definitely a guy that I could see the Denver Broncos drafting. Man, I'd be intrigued. Let me know if you guys like any of these uncut gems that I talked about here on today's show. Um, I really like these guys. There's going to be some more that I come out with next week. I'm going to drop probably another 3 to 4 players, now that we're getting closer to the draft. I should have been doing this from the get-go, but I was like, man, the Denver Broncos haven't really done a lot of free agency. I'm kind of new to this whole ordeal in terms of like evaluating talent, but it's fun, right? I'm learning, I'm growing my knowledge of the game, but I'm also able to share some of my knowledge with you guys. Maybe there's some things that I don't know that you guys can share with me. Give me some great insight. I would really appreciate it. But hey, like I said, let me know which one of these prospects you could see us drafting, maybe that you were intrigued by. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. This is Uncut Gems for Buckham Pod. So remember, if it ain't about the Broncos, Buckham. Mahai salute to y'all. Hey, it's Friday. So kick off the weekend on a good note. Have a good one, you guys. Thanks again. Mahai salute.